welcome back to Miss G's channel for our new video today. I see I've gotten a few subscribers since the last time. I'm guessing by now everybody has gotten their cards in the mail and you guys have checked Google Classroom, found the link to my page, and here you are. So, welcome. If you know anybody else in my homeroom or Miss Davis's homeroom that can't remember their Google Classroom login or doesn't have their Chromebook, so they don't know how to get in, please share with them the name of my YouTube channel so they can still go on and watch the videos even if they can't get on Google Classroom. Also, Miss Lewis, our STEAM teacher, sent out an email to teachers today with all of you guys' login, your email, and your password. So if you didn't pick up your Chromebook from the school, or you don't have it for some reason, and you need your login information so you can get on from a different computer, you can email me, or your parents can email me, agalbraith@amherst.k12.va.us, and I can give them that login information so you can get into your account. Okay, so last time we read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We read chapters 4 and 5. It was about this contest that the Wonka Candy Factory is doing, where 5 lucky finders of a golden ticket inside of a chocolate bar would get the chance to go to Wonka's factory. And of course, Charlie wants to win, but because he only gets 1 candy bar a year, his family tells him like it's probably not going to happen, but he's hopeful anyways. He's what we call an optimist, or somebody who looks on the bright side. I hope you guys are being optimists during this crazy time we're having being at home. I try not to say stuck at home anymore. Instead, I try to say I'm safe at home. Because stuck at home sounds negative, but safe at home sounds positive. So I'm trying to be optimistic like Charlie. So we're going to read chapters 6 and 7 today. I'm also going to try and post a question. If you check in Google Classroom, I will try and post a question there for you guys to answer about the passage. And if you go back and watch this video 5 times to get the answer, that's fine. That's very smart. You're using your resources. Okay. So again, if they have pictures in here, you know I'll show you on the screen. I'm all cozied up. I've got my favorite fuzzy blanket. I'm on the couch. It's like I'm curled up with a good book with you guys, so I'd like to think that we're all in this together. So here we go with chapter 6. Also stay tuned. After this, I'm going to give you another challenge. Last time I challenged you guys to make a card for somebody that's still going to work during this time, like a nurse or a doctor or anybody that's considered an essential employee. I'd still love to see pictures of those. If you did them, and I have another assignment that will hopefully give you something fun to do while you're in the house. But first we're going to do chapter 6 and 7. So chapter 6 is called The First 2 Finders. The very next day, the first golden ticket was found. The finder was a boy called Augustus Gloop, and Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a large picture of him on the front page. The picture showed a 9-year-old boy who was so enormously fat he looked as though he had been blown up with a powerful pump. Great flabby folds of fat bulged out from every part of his body, and his face was like a monstrous ball of dough with 2 small, greedy, curranty eyes peering out upon the world. The town in which Augustus Gloop lived, the newspaper said, had gone wild with excitement over their hero. So pause for a second. They just described him as being so enormously fat. And of course, when you hear that, you're laughing, and I was smiling to myself as well. But notice the adjectives that they used. The writer, Ronald Dahl, didn't just say he was fat. He gave you a very good image for if you closed your eyes and listened to the words I was reading, you could picture this kid in your mind. That's what good writers do, and that's why we learn adjectives in 2nd and 3rd grade, so that if you're writing, you can give your readers the same kind of image in their heads. Just wanted to point that out. Flags were flying from all the windows. Children had been given a holiday from school, and a parade was being organized in honor of this famous youth. "I just knew Augustus would find a golden ticket," his mother had told the newspaperman. "He eats so many candy bars a day that it was almost impossible for him not to find one. Eating is his hobby, you know. That's all he is interested in. But still, that's better than being a hooligan and shouting off zip guns and things like that in his spare time, isn't it? And what I always say is he wouldn't go on eating like he does unless he needed nourishment, would he? It's all vitamins anyway. What a thrill it will be for him to visit Mr. Wonka's marvelous factory. We're just as proud as can be." Here is him and his mama. There's Mr. Augustus Gloop. "What a revolting woman," said Grandma Josephine. "And what a repulsive boy," said Grandma Georgina. "Only 4 golden tickets left," said Grandpa George. "I wonder who will get those." And now the whole country, indeed, the whole world, seemed suddenly to be caught up in a mad candy-buying spree, everybody searching frantically for those precious remaining tickets. Fully grown women were seen going into sweet shops and buying 10 Wonka candy bars at a time, then tearing off the wrappers on the spot and peering eagerly underneath for a glint of gold paper. Children were taking hammers and smashing their piggy banks and running out to the shops with handfuls of money. In one city, a famous gangster robbed a bank of $5,000 and spent the whole lot on candy bars that same afternoon. And when the police entered the house to arrest him, they found him sitting on the floor amidst mountains of candy, ripping off the wrappers with the blade of a long dagger. In far-off Russia, a woman called Charlotte Roos claimed to have found the second ticket, but it turned out to be a clever fake. In England, the famous scientist, Professor Foulbody, invented a machine which would tell you at once, without opening the wrapper of a candy bar, whether or not there was a golden ticket hidden underneath it. The machine had a mechanical arm that shot out with tremendous force and grabbed hold of anything that had the slightest bit of gold inside it, and for a moment it looked like the answer to everything. But unfortunately, while the professor was showing off the machine to the public at the candy counter of a large department store, the mechanical arm shot out and made a grab for the gold filling in the back tooth of a duchess who was standing nearby. There was an ugly scene and the machine was smashed by the crowd. That's crazy. Suddenly, on the day before Charlie Bucket's birthday, the newspapers announced that the second golden ticket had been found. The lucky person was a small girl called Veruca Salt, who lived with her rich parents in a great city far away. Once again, Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a big picture of the finder. She was sitting between her beaming father and mother in the living room of their house, waving the golden ticket above her head and grinning from ear to ear. Veruca's father, Mr. Salt, had eagerly explained to the newspapermen exactly how the ticket was found. "You see, fellers," he had said, "as soon as my little girl told me that she simply had to have one of those golden tickets, I went out into the town and started buying up all the Wonka candy bars I could lay my hands on. Thousands of them I must have bought, hundreds of thousands. Then I had them loaded onto trucks and sent directly to my own factory. I'm in the peanut business, you see, and I've got about 100 women working for me over at my joint, shelling peanuts for roasting and salting. That's what they do all day long, those women. They sit there shelling peanuts. So I says to them, 'Okay, girls,' I says, 'from now on you can stop shelling peanuts and start shelling the wrappers off these crazy candy bars instead.' And they all did. I had bars of chocolate full speed ahead. Nope. I had every worker in the place yanking the paper off those bars of chocolate full speed ahead from morning till night." So that's what happens when you skip a line, you guys. But 3 days went by and we had no luck. Oh, it was terrible. My little Veruca got more and more upset each day, and every time I went home she would scream at me, "Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket." And she would lie for hours on the floor, kicking and yelling in the most disturbing way. Well, sir, I just hated to see my little girl feeling unhappy like that, so I vowed I would keep up the search until I got her what she wanted. Then suddenly, on the evening of the fourth day, one of my workers yelled, "I've got it, a golden ticket!" And I said, "Give it to me quick." And she did, and I rushed it home and gave it to my darling Veruca, and now she's all smiles, and we have a happy home once again. So here is the second family. This is Veruca and her mother and father. "That's even worse than the fat boy," said Grandma Josephine. "She needs a real good spanking," said Grandma Georgina. "I don't think the girl's father played it quite fair, Grandpa, do you?" Charlie murmured. "He spoils her," said Grandpa Joe, "and no good can ever come from spoiling a child like that, Charlie. You mark my words." "Come to bed, my darling," said Charlie's mother. "Tomorrow's your birthday, don't forget that, so I expect you'll be up early to open your present." "A Wonka candy bar!" cried Charlie. "It's a Wonka candy bar, isn't it?" "Yes, my love," his mother said. "Of course it is." "Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if I found the third golden ticket inside it?" Charlie said. "Bring it in here when you get it," said Grandpa Joe. "Then we can all watch you take off the wrapper." All right, so that was chapter 6. Chapter 7 is called Charlie's Birthday. "Happy birthday!" cried the 4 old grandparents as Charlie came into their room early the next morning. Charlie smiled nervously and sat down on the edge of the bed. He was holding his present, his only present, very carefully in his 2 hands. "Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mellow Delight," it said on the wrapper. The 4 old people, 2 at either end of the bed, propped themselves up on their pillows and stared with anxious eyes at the candy bar in Charlie's hands. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket came in and stood at the foot of the bed watching Charlie. The room became silent. Everybody was waiting now for Charlie to start opening his present. Charlie looked down at the candy bar. He ran his fingers slowly back and forth along the length of it, stroking it lovingly, and the shiny paper wrapper made sharp, crackly noises in the quiet room. Then Mrs. Bucket said gently, "You mustn't be too disappointed, my darling, if you don't find what you're looking for underneath that wrapper. You really can't expect to be as lucky as all that." "She's quite right," Mr. Bucket said. Charlie didn't say anything. "After all," Grandma Josephine said, "in the whole wide world there are only 3 tickets left to be found." "The thing to remember," Grandma Georgina said, "is that whatever happens, you'll still have the bar of candy." "Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mellow Delight," cried Grandpa George. "It's the best of them all. You'll just love it." "Yes," Charlie whispered. "I know." "Just forget all about those golden tickets and enjoy the candy," Grandpa Joe said. "Why don't you do that?" They all knew it was ridiculous to expect this one poor little candy bar to have a magic ticket inside it, and they were trying as gently and as kindly as they could to prepare Charlie for the disappointment. But there was one other thing that grown-ups also knew, and it was this: that however small the chance might be of striking lucky, the chance was there. The chance had to be there. This particular candy bar had as much chance as any other of having a golden ticket. And that was why all the grandparents and parents in the room were actually just as tense and excited as Charlie was, although they were pretending to be very calm. "You'd better go ahead and open it up, or you'll be late for school," Grandpa Joe said. "You might as well get it over with," Grandpa George said. "Open it, my dear," Grandma Georgina said. "Please open it. You're making me jumpy." Very slowly, Charlie's fingers began to tear open one small corner of the wrapping paper. The old people in the bed all leaned forward, craning their scraggly necks. Then suddenly, as though he couldn't bear the suspense any longer, Charlie tore the wrapper right down the middle, and on his lap there fell a light brown, creamy-colored chocolate candy bar. There was no sign of a golden ticket anywhere. "Well, that's that," said Grandpa Joe brightly. "It's just what we expected." Charlie looked up. 4 kind old faces were watching him intently from the bed. He smiled at them, a small, sad smile, and then he shrugged his shoulder and picked up the candy bar and held it out to his mother and said, "Here, Mother, have a bit. We'll share it. I want everybody to taste it." "Certainly not," his mother said. And all the others cried, "No, no, we wouldn't dream of it. It's all yours." "Please," begged Charlie, turning around and offering it to Grandpa Joe. But neither he nor anyone else would take even a tiny bite. "It's time to go to school, my darling," Mrs. Bucket said, putting an arm around Charlie's skinny shoulders. "Come on, or you'll be late." All right, so this is Charlie as he's opening up the candy bar and all the grandparents are watching to see what was inside. So no golden ticket for Charlie. He does not win a golden ticket for his birthday, which is disappointing. But we need to find out who the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ticket winners are. Okay, so before I say goodbye and leave you guys for the day, I want to give you an assignment you can work on today, tomorrow, anytime. We're here for a while. So it's called an ABC scavenger hunt. And basically what you do is you look around your house, in your yard, in a car, wherever, for things that start with every letter of the alphabet. I'm going to post a template you can use if your parents have a printer at home and they want to print it out for you to use. You can fill in the template, or if you just want to get a plain piece of paper and put boxes on it for each letter and then fill in the things you find in each box, that's cool. I would love to see if you did it. So if you want to upload a picture onto Google Classroom, that would be great. Or your parents can send me an email with the picture attached. If you guys do this, I would love to see it. I'd love to see that you guys are still working hard at home, still applying the things that you know while you're at home, showing your parents what you've learned this year. That makes my heart really happy, and I love that you guys are continuing to learn. Because like I said before, the type of things we learn at school isn't all there is. There's plenty of other things to learn about that aren't in school, and there's also things we learn about in school that we can apply to real life, so we kind of use it both ways. So it's good to see you guys practicing those at home and also doing some at-home learning. Like I said, I will post the template for you if your parents want to print it out. If not, loose piece of paper is fine. So your challenge is your alphabet scavenger hunt. Want to see those. Also, if you made a card for anybody who is an essential worker, like a nurse or your mail person or a delivery driver, I would love to see pictures of those. Same thing, you can upload them to Google Classroom, or your parents can send them to me by email. I would love to see what you guys are working on. I'd love to hear from you all. I'm sure you guys have heard by now that we're going to start reaching out next week. Ms. Davis and I will be calling you guys and just checking in how you're doing. If you're still getting your at-home work done, if you have any questions or if you need any help, we're going to be available to help you. My sleeve is messed up. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk next week. It'd be great to hear from you guys, hear what you guys are up to. Until then, remember, stay at home, stay optimistic, which is a synonym for positive, and hope to hear from you soon.